Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, no, parking spots are not a status symbol. Told not to stand at the supervisor's desk. Okay. I don't need to be listening to this, put headphones on or go to your room, okay? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. No, parking spots are not a status symbol. This happened to my husband, and I lived vicariously through his frustration and eventual victory. It's a long one, so tuck in. My husband works in a field that requires him to travel often to the middle of actual, honest-to-God middle of nowhere. He has to inspect industrial sites including oil and gas lines, batteries, tanks, etc., which are often not located conveniently beside a road and will have to drive through fields to get to the sites. A truck with 4x4 fully equipped with tow ropes, shovels, and other equipment to get unstuck is 100% necessary for the mud and snow. There's about 6 people in his department that all travel at least 6 months of the year, spanning from a day or two to a full week at a time. Nobody else in the company has to do this. A couple of them, including my husband, had their own trucks while the others shared 2 fleet trucks. The 2 fleet trucks came with company-paid parking spots a block away from the office. The trucks were assigned to the most senior members of the team that didn't already have their own truck, but anyone who needed a vehicle to go out in the field could book one. They are a really tight group and get along really well. Nobody in the unit had a problem with the arrangement, and it always worked out well. The senior members assigned to the trucks could park near the office and not worry about paying a stupid amount for downtown parking. They were encouraged to take them home and bring them back each day, because there had been a few incidents of vandalism, and it was thought to be safer at someone's home rather than sitting outside downtown. Mileage was recorded daily and added as a taxable benefit to whoever happened to be assigned the truck. If one or both of the vehicles were out, the spot was up for grabs for the day or week while the truck was gone. My husband, being the manager, also had a parking spot added to his income as taxable benefit, not free. At some point, other people got their noses out of joint because the unit got to use the trucks and were essentially getting a free parking pass. In addition to that, when my husband was out of town, I would use his parking spot. Somehow, people were also upset with this, even though as a manager, he has every right to the spot and we pay the income tax on it. His unit was actually supposed to have 3 vehicles, and not just 2, but because my husband used his own truck, they didn't actually need 3. There were 3 parking spots plus the one assigned to the manager position. The extra parking spot was being used by a well-respected consultant and my husband's previous boss/mentor. Technically this spot was my husband's, but he allowed him to use it because he was using a fleet vehicle spot. Clear as mud? People outside of the unit were jealous that not only did his team members get to use the trucks, but that they got free parking too. There was some mention of me parking there as well, but I didn't get the full story, probably because my husband knows I would flip my shit and end up feeling terrible. So, guy in charge, Kevin, tells my husband, Honeybun, that the trucks are costing too much money in gas, so because the trucks are at the end of the expected lifespan, that he is replacing them with cheaper Jeep Liberties. We know for a fact that Kevin had expressed that trucks were overkill and not necessary to a mutual coworker/friend. So Kevin insists that they will be buying 3 of them, and that Honeybun is expected to use one instead of his truck, if needed. We think that this is to prevent me from parking in the spot, but we go to work together, and he has a spot already? I honestly think he thought we were both driving to work in separate vehicles, and then taking 2 spots. I have a pretty flashy car, so he would know that it wasn't anybody working there. He also said that the 3rd Jeep would be available to the rest of the staff in the building for travel to meetings outside of the city. We're pretty sure that he thought Honeybun was ripping the company off, because he charged mileage for using his own truck, and he said that Honeybun is a manager and shouldn't be traveling so much. Keep in mind that Kevin has no direct contact with Honeybun's work and knows nothing of the circumstances that require him to travel. Finally, Kevin will be taking over the scheduling of said vehicles. Probably to make sure nobody was improperly using the vehicles, and this is all due to people talking. Honeybun tries to push back on part of the plan but realizes that people, Kevin, are just judging a situation that they know nothing about. Honeybun is not happy about because 1, Honeybun is a big dude and he doesn't fit well in smaller vehicles, 2, having had to use said Jeep Liberty and promptly getting stuck in a field, knows the shitstorm coming. 3. They are the only unit that travels extensively, and are now having to go to an outside individual to schedule the use of the vehicles is going to be a pain. And finally 4. Kevin has no fucking idea about the work they do in the unit, and Kevin has no direct authority over Honeybun and is the finance director. Also, Honeybun has had run-ins with Kevin before and is not a fan. So, Honeybun figures fine, I'll go along with this BS. He lets previous boss friend know that he won't be able to use the spot anymore and tells him why. Previous boss knows Kevin and is understanding. 3 Jeeps are bought and parked dutifully in their assigned spots. We are now taking our own truck to work and parking in the manager's spot. Honeybun's secretary is put in charge putting in the requests to book the Jeeps. It only took about a month for the window to be smashed out of one of the Jeeps. Kevin is then made aware that Honeybun's unit always took care of all maintenance issues, including regular oil changes and repairs. Kevin then asked Honeybun to get it fixed. Honeybun was sorry, you indicated that you would be handling all scheduling, so we don't know when it will be available to take into the shop, and oh by the way, Jeep number 2 will need to be scheduled for an oil change. Kevin is astonished that it needs one already. They literally travel at least 1,000 miles per week. Doesn't take long to get to 5K. He is then completely overwhelmed and with the scheduling in full on double booked a vehicle, and had to sheepishly tell the executive director that he did not actually have a vehicle available to travel to a meeting. After a disastrous incident involving Honeybun needing keys at 7 a.m. in order to make it to court in time, part of the job, all hell broke loose and Kevin was told by the executive director that he needed to be available in early morning when necessary. He was then forced to meet staff at the office at 5 a.m. several Monday mornings to pick up keys, since they weren't allowed to take them home anymore. Within about 6 weeks all 3 vehicles were reassigned to now 3 senior staff. My husband went back to driving his own truck. The only thing left was the stupid Jeeps that constantly got stuck, constantly needed costly repairs, because they weren't built for what they were being used for, and they were still shit on gas. 2 years later, after the cost analysis of shitty gas mileage, breakdowns and constant tow bills, they now have 2 shiny new trucks, and my husband can use his own vehicle. Kevin gave up the extra parking spot and called it a day. This in all cost the company well over $100,000. Kevin keeps his nose out of other people's parking spots now. Told not to stand at the supervisor's desk. Okay. On mobile, so sorry. So a little backstory. I ran a machine at a company for a while before they did away with it. They didn't fire me, so I would just help different people on a day-to-day basis. However, the machine sat at its normal place until we moved to a new building. The story. So after the company did away with my machine, I would hang at the supervisor's desk until I was told where to go. One day I'm standing there like I do every morning when an office worker comes up. We'll call her Jane. The supervisor will call Super. This exchange takes place. Jane, we need to find you somewhere else to stand. Me, I stand here so I don't have to look for the supervisor, and he doesn't have to look for me. Jane kind of huffs and doesn't say anything else. I thought that was it. Next day. Super, someone complained that you stand at my desk in the morning. Me, I'm not surprised. Jane said I have to find somewhere else to stand. So it was probably her. Super, I told the office it keeps us from looking for each other. They didn't seem to care. So from now on when you get here, go stand at your machine and I'll come get you. If I don't come get you, out of sight, out of mind. Understood? Me, yeah, I got it. So the first week everything was normal. I got there about 6:30 a.m. and Super would grab me around 7:15 to 7:30 a.m. I started work at 7 a.m. The second week things changed. So apparently Super forgot about me after the first week, so I would just sit at my desk at the back of the plant and take apart and rebuild the same pieces of the machine over and over again. It got so boring sometimes I would go look for things to do. I know what you're thinking, what's so bad about this? I was and still am one of the highest paid machine operators there. So they paid me to rebuild pieces for a machine that was not running. All because someone didn't like the spot I stood in the mornings. If this post does well, I have a couple other stories about this place. Also, to answer the questions, I still work there, I run a different machine, and I still do as little as possible. I don't need to be listening to this, put headphones on or go to your room, okay? Episode 8 on my entitled mother, most of them are on her/entitled parents. My mother has been watching Le Tour de France for the past few days, and it reminded of something that happened about 15 years ago. My mother was watching Le Tour de France on the TV in the living room. My sister was drawing on the kitchen table. 2 doors separate the kitchen and the living room on each side, or a corridor. If you close the door, you don't hear much from one place to the other. My sister was listening to the radio on her portable radio, yes it was a thing then, using headphones. I was feeling lonely in my room, so I decided to join her and draw too. I'm not good, but it relaxes me, because we have the same tastes in terms of radio. Even back then, my sister asked if I was okay with her disconnecting her headphones so we could both listen. The radio was not that loud, and the radio station was Fun Radio, actual name. The program mostly consists of shows where a team of hosts tell jokes and make up fun games, intertwined with dance music, you know, the like David Guetta, Martin Solveig, Bob Sinclair. After a while, my mother turned the TV off. I guess the race of the day was over, and she burst into the kitchen. "Mom, why are you listening to this savage music?" "Me, because we like it." "Mom, I don't need to hear it, use headphones." "My sister, but we're both listening to it." "Mom, I don't care, put headphones on or go to your rooms." Side note, ever since I can remember, my mother always disliked my sister and I sharing activities. When we were kids, we didn't share much on account of our age gap, 6 years, but ever since I was a teenager, I was 13 or 14 at the time of the story, and my sister was 19 or 20, we got along better and discovered we had a lot in common. Our mother always finds a way to separate us when we're doing something together, sometimes by just getting in the room, sitting down and staring at us in silence. So asking us to use headphones would mean separating us. I just got up, went to my room, got my portable radio and headphones, and went back. My sister started to grin when she saw me coming back. "Mom, what are you doing? Why are you coming back?" "Me, you said to use headphones." I put on my headphones, turned on the radio. My sister put her headphones back on, and we just continued drawing while listening to the same radio station. Our mother mumbled something and left the room. We still do that type of stuff today. We watch shows on Netflix, each of us in their room, and discuss it on Messenger. When I think about it, it must kill our mother each time she hears us laughing at the same time from different places. She did try to cut our connection by turning off the Wi-Fi once, but that's another story. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.